On Capitol Hill today, King Charles addressed a joint meeting of Congress, becoming only the second British monarch to do so. Here is some of what we heard.
Whatever our differences, whatever disagreements we may have, we stand united in our commitment to uphold democracy.
CBS News royal contributor Amanda Foreman joins me now. Amanda, your impressions of the monarch's speech?
My first impressions are that this is a particularly well done, well-crafted speech, very similar to the one that his mother gave 35 years ago. You can hear some of the same tropes, even almost some of the same sentences, slightly reworked. But old wine in, as they say, new skin, and substantially rejuvenated for the times we live in now. I think people are going to be quietly celebrating in Buckingham Palace right now.
And there is a reference continuously in this visit, and as America regards its relationship with the United Kingdom, the special relationship. That terminology was coined some 80 years ago by Winston Churchill in a very famous speech about the Iron Curtain. What do you believe the special relationship is now, and how binding it still is, or is it somewhat bygone?
Well, the special relationship has been redefined in every generation by the politicians who use the phrase. So, and every time the next generation comes into power, that redefinition causes a lot of unease. But the way the king explained it today was shared values, a commitment to prosperity, equality, diversity, maintaining not just peace in the world, but maintaining the economic and eco balance of the world. So that is the new special relationship. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that broad outline.
And there's something else that's part of the conversation. I know it's not a dominant part of the conversation, but some members of Congress who were in attendance in that chamber have brought up former Prince Andrew, the Epstein scandal and its implications for the monarchy and this understanding between the United Kingdom and America. How do you evaluate all that?
One of the very interesting things about American politics is that it's always domestic, even when it's international. So it isn't surprising that Ro Khanna, in particular, brought up the Epstein case. But as insiders in Washington knew from the get-go, it was never going to be referenced in the King's speech, except for the fact that he did refer to the victims of current ills in our societies, which is a kind of blanket reference to, absolutely everything. The king has divested himself of his brother in the most public way possible, and justice will take its course. So it really was irrelevant. What was more interesting about the king's speech were the times when that he inserted a phrase on his own, probably over the screaming objections of people in the palace and among his advisors. In particular, for example, when he said, from the Atlantic Sea to our disastrously melting polar ice caps, talking about the special relationship and how it encompasses the world. That phrase, he inserted, and they were begging him to take it out. So every now and then there's a moment of the king himself coming in. He really cares deeply about climate change and conservation in particular. But as a Christian, so he's always balancing his opinions anyway. As a man of faith, I believe in supporting people of all faiths and no faiths. But every time the king put himself into the speech, it became really alive. And when he didn't, like when he talked about investment and statistics, and it got rather dull, that's just the advisors throwing the usual, meat and potatoes in there.
Always great to imagine an assertive king and shouts from some distant part of the realm about what the assertive king has said before Congress. Amanda Foreman, thank you very much for your perspective. I appreciate it.